You and I with Rashmi Shetty is a simple attempt of bringing in stories of people you and I can draw inspiration from. Ordinary folks, extraordinary lives. Their uniqueness and individuality that make them interesting to talk to and to listen to. A reaffirmation of the fact, open your eyes wider. The world is far more beautiful when we acknowledge the presence of both you and I. Our guest today is Priyanka Panda, an IT professional turned energy healer. She believes her life's calling is to enable more people to awaken to their true potential as energetic beings who are conscious manifestors of their life. Whether it was quitting her career to follow her calling, going against family tradition to pursue a lesser-known field of energy healing, or rejecting conventional education to travel school with her daughter, her life has been a tapestry of some bold and unconventional decisions. Let's catch up with her to know more. This is a two-part special with energy healer Priyanka Panda. In part 2, she takes us through the magical world of duality, Ardhanarishwara as a concept, and meditation. Let's listen to part 2 of the two-part special. I think these topics and questions can go on into hours and hours of discussion because they're so deep. I know I'm touching not even the tip of the iceberg, but the tip of the iceberg. And this is done with a lot of years of study and a lot of awareness that when you're doing the study, that takes you and leads you on into what your purpose is and what your calling is. But are the two also related? The purpose and calling and you said so many things. You spoke about the memory that the soul carries, that we are spiritual beings on a human journey. Purpose, legacy, what is it that we are born here for? And along with that comes even this whole concept of masculine and feminine energy. And you spoke about attitudes like empathy and love, and they definitely fall under the feminine energy category. And I know now with leadership, most of the leaders, masculine or feminine, they bring out the feminine energy when they want to align with people in their team, understand people, work with empathy, work with servant leadership. So what is this energy concept of masculine and feminine energy? And there is this beautiful concept even in Eastern philosophy called Ardhanarishwara, which speaks about the alignment of both the masculine and feminine. So is it a very big question, and can you give us a simple answer, or should we have another episode on just the Ardhanarishwara concept, Priyanka?
Definitely, Rashmi. I mean, talking about the Ardhanarishwara concept, I can go on for hours if provided you have the time. But I'll try to explain it in the briefest amount of time as I can. So, and I'm so glad you asked this question because it's something that is so close to my heart and it's something that I'm working on currently. So we live in a world of duality. Okay, so duality simply means that everything, every experience that we go on, every feeling that we have, that can be expressed as opposite polarities. It can be expressed as love and hate. If you have love, you will also have hate. If there is positivity in the world, there will also be negativity. And one beautiful concept of polarity, especially in terms of energy, if we describe it, is the concept of the divine feminine and the divine masculine. So each and every individual, whether it's a man or woman, all of us are composed of this divine feminine and divine masculine energies. And ancient cultures probably around the world had studied it in detail. And especially in India, the Vedic literature has described it so beautifully. As if you read the Shiva Purana, they have the story of Ardhanarishwar, which essentially was a story of creation. And in a very basic way, if I can explain it, so it says that before time existed, before the universe existed, there Shiva and Parvati, Shiva and Shakti were together in one form, that was the Ardhanarishwar form. And when the universe was when Brahma wanted to create the universe, he asked Shakti to come down into the universe, and so that the universe can expand, the universe and creation can happen. They needed her energy, and that's how Shiva and Shakti got separated. And that's how Shakti entered into this world as the energy of creation. And that is the topic of my latest book that I'm writing, and the topic is the age of the Devi is here. And it essentially talks about the rise and fall of the divine feminine energies in this world and how it is related to you and me. So, the story of Ardhanarishwar, it describes in a very illustrated way of how creation has happened. So from my own intuitive experiences, I have understood that before creation started, there was just a singular consciousness, which we call with different names. Some call it, we call it as source in energy healing parlance, and cultures around the world, they call it Shiva, and they call it God, and we call Allah, we call him with different names. But it is true that he is one singular consciousness where these energies are not separated. So he is the sea of consciousness. And when it was time for the universe to begin, so he had this desire to experience the universe. He experienced his creation from a different angle. He wanted to experience himself from a different perspective, and that's a similar story that cultures around the world have also told in their literature. So so the first division from singular consciousness was into duality. So the singular consciousness moved into duality of consciousness, and he turned into the masculine and the feminine forces. So the forces of the masculine, and that was how I like to describe as the second dimension of existence. And from the second dimension of existence, and from this masculine and feminine energies, they combine together and form the third dimension, which is the physical reality of matter that we live in. And it was the creative ability of Shakti, the creative ability of the divine feminine, which gave rise to creation, and which is still within us, within each and every one of us, and which is allowing us to create and expand. So when we talk about energy, there's we look at everything holistically, okay, not just as a human perspective, but everything holistic. So when suppose a person, like when a man he's an artist and is creating an art, the creative influence, the creative energy that flows into his hands, and that is the energy of Shakti, it's the energy of the divine feminine. And the action and the energy that he gets to perform the action of drawing, that is probably the energy of the masculine. And that is how I recently wrote an article of the dance of Shiva and Shakti, because it has been expressed so beautifully in our culture, in temples and books. But essentially, to me, at least in my personal opinion, I feel it is expressing this dance of the masculine and feminine energies that is happening each and every moment within us, as we create, as we think, as we perform, as we act, as we breathe. So there's this combination of masculine and feminine, this dance that is constantly happening within us as well as in the cosmos. So that is how I like to look at it. So coming to the concept of love and empathy. So we are moving into a world where you will see there's a greater, greater interest in among people to move towards a heart-centered, leadership, to move into a more empathetic world of living life, because everything else has failed. So if I would say, for the last 2000, 3000 years, we had been living a very masculine way of life. The reason I call it masculine is because the masculine is really associated with this level of control, discipline, and focus, and having a goal-oriented approach. And there's nothing really wrong with that approach, because it has brought humankind to the pinnacle of its pinnacle of advancement. But according to me, there's also been this imbalance between the masculine and feminine energies within us, because the feminine is the energy of love and empathy in our heart. She is the energy of the connection that we have with our environment. She is the energy of Mother Earth. So, and in the last 2000, 3000 years, probably we have, and probably more in the last 50 years, we have lost this connection with Mother Earth. And when we lose this connection, there is an imbalance that is created within us. When you don't respect the feminine energies, when you don't respect the energy of love and empathy, and so whatever imbalances happen within you, those imbalances show up in the external world as well. When we live in this world of disconnect, and that is why I feel most of the problems that we are facing in the world today, whether it is poverty or whether it is ecological imbalances or whether it is environmental pollution, everything is related. If you see, the root cause is basically we are living a disconnected life. We don't consider the whole of Earth, or the whole ecology of the Earth as a part of who we are. And that is essentially what embracing the feminine energies means, because when you lead a life of love and empathy, when you move into a state of coherence. So a state of coherence is basically vibrating from a level of consciousness where you believe that everything that surrounds you, right from your environment, right to the people in the environment, to the animals and trees and the ecology, everything is a part of you. Because, and I know it sounds little ambiguous when I say this, but we say that we are living on the earth, but in reality, we are not living on the earth. We are the earth, and everything around us, our environment, we are an essential part of the earth. And when we move back into the state of connection, we can live a more holistic life, and the balance is returned. So that's why I feel there should be more awareness about the feminine and the masculine energies within us, and the importance of leading a more balanced life, because we are not only because it is not only going to change our life, but it is also going to change the environment where we live. And that is how the human collective can grow consciously. It's something that I believe in.
And I know that what you did was justify as much as possible about this beautiful concept of Ardhanarishwara. So thank you so much, Priyanka, that you made it so simple for us to get at least a feeler of what this entire concept is about. But what I am now interested in is what is energy healing? So as an energy healer, what is it that you do in order to make sure that the people who come to you are comfortable? Obviously, they come to you because of some discomfort. So what exactly are you working on when you call yourself an energy healer?
Well, definitely. So as I just described about, the human bioenergy field. So energy healing essentially says that any disease or disorder first starts as an imbalance in the energy field. And this imbalance is caused by, most of the times, if not all, are caused by our thoughts. So what we as healers do is we try to bring the balance back in the energy field. So we look at it as the root cause of any disease or disorder. So when the root cause is fixed, then we move, then the particular manifestation in the body also gets healed. But it is not as simple as that. See, if you look at our any mainstream medical science, that whether it is Western medicine or whether it is homeopathy or Ayurveda, and the degree varies, but we all look at the human body. We are all curing a certain aspect of the human body. For example, if there's a migraine, we give them a pill for the migraine, and or we do some oil-based massage therapy for the brain. We give them some herbal supplements for the migraine. But for us, like for me as a healer, when I look at someone with a migraine, I can see different aspects of a migraine, and probably one big aspect would be resistance to the flow of life. The person probably is resisting to what resisting to his own intuition, resisting to what his purpose or path in life should be. And that might result in a migraine, that might result in a gastric problem. In the long run, anything in the energy body doesn't immediately manifest in the physical body. But if it becomes chronic, when you're not constantly thinking thoughts that are not in alignment with your true purpose or path, and eventually they tend to affect the body. So the way I look at it is, when you suppose I'm healing someone for migraine, I tend to heal the root cause in the energy body, try to give them tools and techniques including mindfulness and energy healing, and tools such as hypnotherapy and Pilates. I'm not only an energy healer. I use all the tools and techniques that I have, all the wisdom that I have, and I create a holistic approach to heal people. Okay, I can also describe a bit about how it works. So see, you have asked me about energy healing. So energy healing comes in various forms and shapes. There is Reiki, there is pranic healing, and to a lot of some people even call acupuncture and acutherapy to come under energy healing. So people approach energy healing in various ways. But I also always tell my clients that energy healing is a complementary approach. It is not it is not something to it should not be your main approach to healing. So if you are under a doctor's supervision, you should always consider energy healing as a complementary approach to medical supervision. And I will tell you the reason I say this. See, most of the times we are so we are so cruel to our bodies, and we do it unknowingly. So there's nothing, I have any hard feelings about that, because we are not even aware that the thoughts that we are thinking, what a big impact it is causing on how our body is framed. See, the science tells us that there is a constant rejuvenation of cells in your body. Okay, and your body basically can transform itself. It can transform itself within a matter of months. Okay, organs can transform themselves within a matter of months. So healing is the natural ability of the body. So all that we are doing through any of our medical practices is we are probably giving the body the boost it needs, giving the immunological system the boost it needs to heal itself. So, and the body, as I said, energy affects matter. Thoughts thoughts are energy field that affects everything in the surrounding, right from the physical body to the environment, the relationships. So it is possible that you can use, you can fine tune your thoughts and fine tune your energy body to transform your physical body. And it's not just about healing. You can transform your body to look the way you want it to. You can transform your body to be the best tool that you have to follow your life's purpose. And it might be anything that you want it to be. So my approach to energy healing is a very holistic approach. And the reason I use these tools like hypnotherapy and I use regression therapy basically. And I use these tools because the brain can function in different levels. Okay, the conscious waking state that we have, that is the beta level of consciousness. And when we're in this deep state of meditation or just about to doze off, we move into the alpha state of consciousness. And beyond that, when we are totally unconscious, that's the delta state of consciousness. And we also have gamma and high beta states of consciousness. So using hypnotherapy, I tend to take people from the beta level to the alpha level. So the alpha level of consciousness is the plane where we go into when we in deep meditation, or when we are just in the dream state. We are just entering into the dream state. So what happens is the alpha level is the level between your conscious brain and your subconscious brain. So when you move into these levels of, in these levels of mind, what happens is most of our life we are working with subconscious patterns. These patterns and habits that are formed from a childhood. These thought patterns that are formed from our childhood. So we are working from a subconscious pattern that we are not even aware of. So when we go into these levels, we can, train our mind to think. To change our thought patterns into a way that works for us. So that is why I use a combination of tools, and it depends a lot on what the client needs and what is best for him or her. And then I use these tools basically to carve out a holistic approach to what will best suit them to meet their life's goals.
Thank you, Priyanka, for sharing so much about energy. And I cannot resist the temptation but ask you, in the last 1.5 years, the planet went through a lot with the pandemic, just not seeing borders dissolved. It was very clear it was man-made, and nature did not want it like that. The world is one, we are one, we are part of the same consciousness. Was all very evident when an invisible virus took over. There has never been a time when death stared so directly at the human face like it has done. Till recently, the first wave was completely out of our bounds, so it was only numbers. But the second wave has more names and faces to the numbers that we are seeing in our country especially. So has there been an energy shift for this entire planet working like this? And as an energy healer, what is it that you see as a shift in energy in the last 1.5 years?
So thank you for the question, Rashmi. This is indeed a very deep question, and it's something that I can answer at many different layers, because it's not just a simple question to answer. So and something I always tell my clients is, I will share my perspective, but I want people to hear this with an open mind and grasp what they get from their own perspective. So as a healer and as an energy, from a perspective of energy, definitely there has been a shift of consciousness that has happened probably probably between 1 to 2 years, and we have moved into this age of consciousness where as I was telling, I talk about this in my book as well, that is the age of the Devi is here. I feel that we are finally moving into an age where the divine feminine energies are rising again within us. So what does it mean? What does it really mean? And it's not just an esoteric concept. I want people to hear me out and then form their own conclusions. So what does the divine feminine mean? Yeah, so when I say, we worship the divine feminine, particularly in India, Hindus worship her as Shakti, Devi Shakti. We worship her in many different forms. Out of her main form is Parvati, who is Durga, Lakshmi, and Saraswati. So what we very often fail to realize that the power of Goddess Shakti, even though we have, we worship her in the form of a deity, and we have Durga Puja every year, we have Navratris where we invite her into our house and we worship her. But essentially, she is not, she is of course everywhere, but she is, what we essentially forget is the power of Shakti is within us. She lives within us as our own power. And this is probably, it will touch all the aspects that I had covered during this interview, because it's the power of Shakti that allows us to be in touch with ourselves and create and manifest the life we want. It is her energy that that brings us the awareness when we are ready for it. So it is the power of Saraswati, Lakshmi, and Durga, who is not out there. Even though she is out there, she is within us. The power of Saraswati is the power of the awareness that is needed for us to move into the state of alignment. Alignment is, when we talk about alignment, the power of Durga or Parvati is the power needed for us, the immense power needed for us to move into the zone of, trust and surrender. And that is probably the point where we break free of this mold and move into a state of abundance that I so described, in the previous parts of my interview. And abundance is invariably Lakshmi. That's who we worship as Lakshmi. So why am I saying that? For the last 20 to 30 years, we have seen this in our lives, that how the consciousness, the collective human consciousness, has moved into including more diversities into our lives and into our perspective. For example, you will see movements like Black Lives Matter, you have movement for LGBTQ rights, there are movements for for understanding and including neurodiversity into the corporate culture. So why is this happening? It is happening because the human consciousness has moved from one level of functioning to the next level of functioning. And it has to see, whenever consciousness shifts, whenever the human collective shifts, it is not it's not an abrupt process. There are this process of moving up into a certain point of alignment, post which the shift happens very rapidly. And I feel this is what the time that we are living in currently is happening. We have prepared the ground, and now we are in this verge of shifting from one level of consciousness to the next level of consciousness. So going forward, what we will see is, within a very short period of time, we will see the human collective consciousness is taking, if I can use the word, taking a quantum leap. So the leaps are happening within a very short period of time. So if you just see the timeline of a past 50 years, the life that our grandmothers used to live and the life that we live are probably, there's a difference of 100 to 200 years. So we have shifted within 50 years, we have shifted, I would say, at least half a century as far as technological advancements are concerned. And going forward, you would see that the technological advancement is also happening in a very rapid way. So I know this will sound very weird when I say this, but I see a close connection between the technological advancement we have and the conscious evolution of the human collective. You see, when the internet arrived in the 2000s, and when it grew and grew like so, grew like a it grew so vast within the span of a decade, and it connected the entire world. So if a single individual voices, like one movement somewhere in America now is causing a movement around the world. One event happening in Delhi is causing people around the world to awaken and raise their voices. So in a way, the internet has connected the entire human collective, and that has allowed the human collective consciousness to grow at an unprecedented rate. So the way I look at technological advancement, it has been a boon for the collective evolution as well. And in the coming future also, we will also see that there'll be rapid advancements in the field of technology, and there'll be quantum leaps, if I can use the word, in human consciousness levels as well. So definitely where we are now, by the time, I really hope, and because see, future is a possibility. No one can predict for, with 100% accuracy of what is going to happen. But I just wish and I hope that I hope that our children, they grow up into this world of a highly conscious human collective, where love and empathy rules, and where leadership is all about heart-centered leadership. So that's what I think about what the consciousness evolution has been.
Thank you so much, Priya. Okay, I have a question here, Priyanka, regarding meditation. So many people feel that meditation in a way aligns them to a lot of non-aligned thoughts. And does meditation also become part of this healing process for the self when you are in that state of complete alignment? How powerful and what is the need for meditation, especially now, because there's so much negativity around us, and there's so much we are consuming very unconsciously, be it media, be it newspapers, or any kind of social media. There's so much we are absorbing. Can meditation, or will meditation kind of bring in alignment within ourselves when we are disturbed so much by the external?
Definitely. Definitely. I mean, meditation is that one way. I wouldn't say one way, but it's a very powerful tool that we have in bringing us, in basically, and I use this word a lot of time, but it is very important for me because meditation is one tool where probably it's a very powerful tool for us to go within. So when we shut down, so basically what meditation means to me is shutting down our 5 physical senses. It's not possible to completely shut it down, but ideally that's how people meditate. They put on headphones, they close their eyes, switch off the light, and basically what they're doing is they are shutting off all this external input stimuli that is coming into us and moving inwards, moving within. And it is a first step to move into alignment. So yes, definitely meditation helps, but nowadays the word meditation has become so cliche that people have started having resistance to it. So what I like to tell people is, don't worry about the terminology. It's not really important for you to sit at a place and put on candles and put on agarbatti and candles, and then just focus on one thing. Like people ask me, should I chant some mantras or what should I do? So you can meditate with your eyes open, move into nature, move into a park, sit down under a tree, touch the tree, walk barefoot. Walk barefoot on sand, walk barefoot on grass. Just becoming aware, not becoming aware of that current moment is a great way to meditate. It is not really important for us to sit in dhyana mudra or meditation. Definitely, if you can do it well, but if you feel too overwhelmed to sit in a place and meditate, then do anything that can move your awareness back into the present moment, because that's all there is to meditate. I mean, I won't say there's always lots to meditation, but one important aspect of being in alignment and one important aspect of why people in alignment are able to live a joyful and blissful life is because they are not constantly oscillating between the past and future. They are in the present moment. And I can tell you, Rashmi, and I can give it to you in writing, when you are aware of this present moment, no amount of negativity, no amount of thoughts can affect you, because the brain is composed of only memories. So the brain can either live in the known past or not the brain, but the mind. The mind can either live in the known past or the predictable future. So when you are in the present, you are a no mind. And that is the first step of moving into a zone where you awaken yourself to your full possibility.
Wow. So that's what all the mindfulness practitioners talk about, living in the now, living in the present. Very beautifully brought to that point. And coming back to your now and present, thank you for this entire talk, Priyanka. Towards the end of our conversation, there's a norm that we follow, that I ask 3 takeaways from life that you have arrived at when you look back to what you have been through till today. Any 3 takeaways that you feel you'd like to leave us with?
So I think the 3 biggest takeaways from my life would be that the human being is capable of healing itself. And disease and disorder is probably a result of me being in disalignment within himself. The human brain is a powerful tool that we have been gifted with to create and manifest the life that we want. And lastly, one of the biggest beliefs that I live with every day of my life is the approach that I have that I have absorbed, that I have created, that is called as the 3A approach. And this 3A approach is where I believe awareness leads to alignment. And when there is alignment, it invariably leads to abundance. So when we understand this approach of awareness, alignment leading to abundance, we are able to transform our lives in a way that fulfills our purpose and that moves us into a place where we understand that we are human beings we are superhuman beings with unlimited possibilities.
I love the 3A approach. It's beautiful, it's powerful, even to think that it's all within our access, but many of us are not even aware what is around us, is a very beautiful note, Priyanka, to end. And just the thought that you don't even have to look outside to bring out what you can truly be. is a powerful note to end on. Thank you so much, Priyanka, for your time, for your sharing. And this has been a very fascinating conversation for me. I don't know how I found you, but now after talking to you, I know it's just that our energies met in the universe, and the universe has a way of beautifully connecting different balls of energy that we are. And I just want to bow down with all humility to the universe for putting us together. Thank you so much for all that you so generously shared and made simple for us to understand. All I can say is I'm completely humbled. Thank you so much, Priyanka, for all that you shared.
Thank you, Rashmi. It has been my pleasure, and I too am truly humbled to be here with you and share these things with the listeners of you. And thank you for having me.
With this, we come to the end of part 2 of the 2-part special with energy healer Priyanka Panda. Do send in your feedback and guest suggestions to rashmi.the3rd@gmail.com. That is rashmi.thirdeye@gmail.com.